Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone for coming today for this evening meeting about the digital principles. Thank you for coming for the UniKL Travel meeting 1.0 uh, at Microsoft Teams at 5:25 p.m. So I'll be taking the attendance. First, me, Lutfi bin Mayatim as the group leader, Sarah Afika binti Pajar, Farha Aisyah binti Abu Bakar, Yasmin Anisah binti Khalid. Okay. So I'll be sharing about the task that the first task that we've been doing and everyone been contribute about the report. So the report is about the assignment step 2. So we are preparing this report for Puan Rabia Hamzah, and our deadline is at 21st November 2022. Okay, so basically the question is after getting your selected website approved, so our apps that we decide already been approved, we need to identify design flaws and weakness in that website. Second task is reflect on this design flaws and weakness based on the design principle we study in class. So we need to uh, create a breakdown structure to giving everyone a task for first proximity, contrast, alignment, and consistency. Then we need to take Polaroid screenshots of these apps, flaws and weakness based on these four principles. Then we need to explain the negative effects of these design flaws and weakness and justify why they should be improved. So then we need to include all the requirements of step 2 in the report along with the requirements of stage 2 below. So this what we are being doing now, the progress work. So today we set up the meeting with all the team members and we are recording this meeting. Then I'll be explaining later about the work breakdown structure, WBS, based on the task responsibility for each group member. Then every member need to demo their clear screenshot of the uh, flaws and weakness based on their task of four principles of digital design. Then they need to explain the negative effects of these design flaws and weakness and justify why they should be improved. Then the last task is to choose one or two reliable websites to serve as reference when designing a new website. Okay, so before I open for the demo session, I would like to uh, show the Malaysia Tower Guide apps that can be easily downloaded at the Google Play App Store. So user can simply click the install button at their mobile. As you can see, there's a 100k plus downloads already been done by these apps. So this apps is really uh, needs the four principles of digital designs. Okay, let's start with the demo. So our group is UniKL Travel. So we'll be demo about the four design principle for Malaysia Tower Guide apps. This is the link of the apps. Next, I'll be explaining about our work breakdown structure or WBS. So four principles of visual organizations consists of four principles: proximity, contrast, alignment, and consistency. The first task, which is the proximity, the task being given to Sarah Afika binti Fajar. The contrast task given to Lutfi Yatim, which is the group leader. The third task is the alignment, which been given to Yasmin Anisa binti Khalid. And the last task, which is consistency, been given to Farha Aisyah binti Abu Bakar. So each team members will be doing the step 2, which is take screenshots of these flaws and weakness of the apps and explain negative effects and justification of improvement, and they need to provide references of reliable websites. Next, the proximity design principles will be demo by Sarah Afika binti Pacar.
Okay, hello. My name is Sarah Afika Binti Pajar, and I will be explaining about proximity. First is I would like to explain what is proximity. Proximity is a grouping of element for an object. So why proximity is done is to create a relationship between elements to help us to understand the information presented, and how it is perceived is things that are related should be placed closely together, and things that are unrelated can be separated. Okay, next. The first weakness that I notice is spatial proximity on the buttons. So there are several things that I notice is the buttons are closely placed together, and they are really categorized topics. So it doesn't communicate near as well because there are several questions that comes to mind. That is, how many states are there in Malaysia? Where are the most visited places in most places visited by tourists, and why there are so many tags to read? So it will result to the buttons will be overlooked by users, and poorly categorized topic will be takes time to read and harder for users to find related information, and it will result to higher abandonment rate for the application. Next. The next weakness is limited attention span, especially for users that are task focused. Reading such lengthy text can be tiresome and overwhelmed by too much detail. As example that I have screenshotted, that is lengthy text and lacks of keywords and highlights. Users will scan the text looking for a clear message that are easily digestible. So this is about grouping text. So it's also about making sure that the texts are easily understand and easily digestible for users. In ability for to scan to search for heading, subheading, and highlights keywords for the text, users will completely not understand the message that we are going to given and completely abandon the app. And next is the reasons of design improvement. The goal with designing and or separating element is to focus our viewers' attention, and meaningful grouping text blocks is important because it's easily distinguishable by users and easily to scan for users to look through for the information that are related for their task. As a result, it will be improve the comprehension of information and faster navigation because of text is much more readable and faster navigation for users that able to follow the visual flow of the text. Next, I will pass to Lufti explain about contrast. Oh, this is the reference that I look for because in TripAdvisor application there are grouping text and grouping for organized topics. As okay, next is culture trip also shows a good proximity design layout. Okay, thank you from.
Thank you, Sarah. Uh, Next, I'll be explaining about the contrast design principles. So this is the example one. As you can see at the heading, they use the same size with the content. As you can see with the circle here, the heading, and the triangle, and the other shape here is the content. So both are using the same size, which is didn't apply contrast principle. Next, the heading The heading is using the same size with the content, but this time the heading didn't apply bolding, which mean uh, didn't apply the contrast principle. So both for the didn't apply bolding and also using the same size with heading and content is didn't apply contrast principle, which is a flaws. Next, the negative effect of this design flaws and weakness and justification why the design should be improved. So the negative effects is confusing viewers, and another one is the viewers find it difficult to understand the type of message that the designer trying to communicate. For the confusing viewers, without applying contrast principle, the element of the composition would blend and confuse the viewers. Then, for the next point, the principle of contrast design are important of any design process. Without contrast principle applied, it will be very difficult for the users to understand the type of message that the designer is trying to communicate. This is because the heading and content have the same font and size and didn't draw attention to items. It also shows that the heading is as same important as the content and not perceived as being more important than the content. Next is the reason of design improvements. First, to successful guiding viewers, contrast in graphic design is a valuable tool for creating visual impact and hierarchy. With contrast in design, you can guide viewers to a certain asset on a page or separate one part of a creation from another. Without at least some contrast, the element of the composition would blend and confuse the viewers. Next, communicate successful with viewers. The principle of contrast design are important of any design process. With contrast principle applied, it will be very easier for the users to understand the type of message that the designer is trying to communicate. This is because the heading has twice the size of normal text and perceived as being more important than the content. So there's a two reference. First reference is from the tourism.gov.my and the next reference is from malaysiaairlines.com. For the reference one, the website using heading size that is much bigger than the content size. Next, also at the Malaysia Airlines website, the heading is using a bigger size than uh, the size, the font size at the content. Next, for the alignment design principles, I would like to call Yasmin Anissa binti Khalid for demo.
Thank you, Lufti. So I am Yasmin Anissa binti Khalid. I will present about alignment design principle in these applications. Okay, first, let me show you the example of the bad alignment in the apps. First, you see the first picture, the first figure I show you, there are no indentation in the application. The second and third bullet have different indentation. And then the font size is also different for this part. And then you can see it on the third figure, the space between one words to another words is very too far away, which is the example of a bad alignment. The bad effect of the bad effect of this alignment problem is firstly it is unprofessional. The bad alignment portrays the unprofessionalism of the apps. The user will be most unlikely to trust the apps without the presence of professionalism. So as this app is a tourism app, it's supposedly convince user so that they have to follow the professional alignment. And then secondly, it's make the app aesthetically unpleasant, which is the bad alignment itself is a pain in the eyes when the paragraph is not the same and not properly indented and the font is also not the same. Okay. So this is why we need to make the improvement is to first gain trust. To gain trust to convince user that us is the legitimate guidance for user, especially first time tourists, first time foreigner that come to Malaysia. And two, secondly is to boost engagement. To survive in this industry, an application should have more engagement between user and the apps itself. Okay. So as I make this justification, the reference come from these two website, which is TripAdvisor and also Hello, which is both of the website apply alignment are very good in a very good example of the principle. Okay, that's all from me. Let me pass the mic to the next speaker, which is Farha Aisyah binti Abu Bakar.
Thank you, Yasmin. Hello, I'm the last presenter. My name is Farha Aisha. I will focus on consistency design principles. First of all, consistency is a key principle in life and design. Consistency ties separate pieces of design work together, meaning an audience can immediately understand that these pieces of work are connected and usually working together to communicate with an audience. So this applies to every area of design, our work. So this is the result from my point of view of this application. There's no consistency where it should be showing some pictures to make it more attractive for user to read, to feel emotionally and can imagine the place well with the picture and the descriptions. Then negative effects of this design flaws and weakness. Next, Malaysia tour guide that reflected consistency principle. The problem with the problem with thinking in terms of consistency is that those thoughts focus purely on the design and the user can get lost. As we know, consistency itself have four types that are important to be aware of when designing such like visual consistency, functional, internal and external. So for the weakness that reflected to this application are in type of visual consistency. So similar elements that are perceived the way same way make up the visual consistency. So the negative effect of firstly expectation. So a creative and convenient mobile application of the Malaysia Tour Guide Reality, a weird resource in the style of 2022. This mobile application is more like a blog website instead of a tourism application. The content has absolutely no structure, and in addition, the footer, header, and sidebar are poorly designed. Rather than that, it's a limited content. So I said expectation. So this can relate with the first one tadi punya before. It's like this one is limited content. So as we can see, this one relate with the first one is expectation because of the applications basically more words and nothing interested pages the content, so there's no pictures like that totally makes a user feels boring. So consistency is used in all areas. Next please, thank you, of design, from packaging to UI or UX to branding, advertising. Let's look little more reasons of design improvement. So first is it helps design work communicates clearly and look professionally. Helps to ensure design work is committing communicating the intended message. So second, it helps to build a relationship with users. We all like things to look and feel familiar, and that is true when it comes to visual designs. We come to expect a certain style from a magazine or brand or website. So next, last but not least, the references that I refer to. There's two types of references, which from mobile application, Kuala Lumpur Travel Guide, and the website is Malaysia's Rural Asian, the official tourism website of Malaysia. So this is the picture of the application mobile, much better. So I refer these apps, and another one is the website. That is for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you for your demo and explanations. And thank you also for the computation of reports. I'm glad to congratulate all of you for your contributions. We will conclude our meeting today, 18, uh, 18 November 2022 at 5:45 p.m. Until the next time, thank you everyone.